how can we structure a relationship? As we all know, the relationship between the Caribbean and Canada is long-lasting. We have more than 1 million Canadians of Caribbean descent in Canada. We have more than 2 million Canadians who come here annually, and we want to strengthen the relationship. We want to make sure that the youth, which represent, 60% of the people in the Caribbean under 30 years of age, that the youth, that the voice of the Caribbean can be amplified in the world, that we can stand alongside you, whether you're a small island nation or a bigger economy within the CARICOM, to make sure that your voice is heard around the world. Canada is part of the G7, the G20, the Commonwealth, la Francophonie, NATO. So we want to make sure that as we take decisions, the concern, the challenge, and the opportunities of this region are taken into account, whether we're talking about the blue economy, whether we're talking about climate change, whether we're talking about how can we build more economic security for the people living in the region. We want to make sure that the historical relationship is brought to its full potential, that the friendship that exists between our two people is chartering the future together. And again, it's an honor for me to be here on behalf of Prime Minister Trudeau and making sure that we hear, we listen, and then we charter a future together that will benefit both the people of the Caribbean and Canada. Happy to take any questions if you have. Otherwise, sure.
A question regarding the upcoming election for the UN Security
Council. Yes, Canada is standing to a seat at the UN Security Council. I would say that part of the reason I was here was to listen to the Caribbean. You know, we're facing big challenges today, whether it's climate change, the coronavirus, a number of things that need nation state to work together. And what I was saying to our colleagues, when you think about island economy that are so dependent on tourism, the position that the international community takes on some of these challenges will have probably the biggest impact or disproportionate impact on the people living in the region. So the reason I was here was to better equip ourselves, better prepare ourselves, make sure that we hear, that we listen, that we work together with our Caribbean colleague, so that when Canada is on the UN Security Council, we can speak with one voice, the voice of youth, the voice of women in the region, the voice of small and medium-sized businesses, the voice of the leader, the progressive leader in the region, who want to make sure that their voice is heard at the UN. The seat is big enough to share it with, obviously, our colleague in the region, and that's what Canada intends to do. Amplify the voice, work alongside the CARICOM, and make sure that our two people, we strengthen the relationship.
Any reactions yet though from the leaders from CARICOM?
I'm very optimistic. I came here optimistic, and I leave even more optimistic that Canada can be this voice that will represent the best interests of the youth in the region, of the women in the region, of the values, the principles that define ourselves, that the world is so in need of when we're looking at the biggest challenge we're facing. Thank you, everyone. Merci.